Welcome back to the Unfortunate Diehards podcast. Hashtag number 20, who's going to be Brandon Sod. Oh, little shakeup. Not a Sens player. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. My name is Evan. Introduce yourself, lads.
Omar.
Sufyan.
Nice to meet you, Sufyan.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Or if you're new, hello. Today we're going to talk about some hockey. There's been some big moves that we haven't talked about yet, like just Bo Horvat or Vladimir Tarasenko. Also, we'll talk about those. We'll talk about our own teams, which are Leafs, Sens, and Capitals, as well as a stat game and maybe some potential moves that we may see happening over the next week or two. So, but first, how are you guys? How are you, Sufi? What have you been up to?
Weather sucks here, and you can't even go on the ODR. I'm really happy. Go, Homer.
Just resonate what he said. Okay. Go Ottawa weather. Whee!
How are you, Yvonne? How's your
Columbus is losing to Toronto 3-0.
So surprising. Columbus losing.
Columbus sucks. Leafs are the best.
I think Columbus sucks is the only true statement there. Evan, how's your Bauer trip going?
Pretty good. We're in Clarington right now, which is right by Oshawa, home of Jacob Oster.
Wait, did he win?
Pardon?
They're in a shootout.
Oh, no way. But yeah, so it's going all right. Today,
they lost.
There was a basketball court or gym or whatever right behind where we set up. So I played basketball for 2 hours. I'm exhausted, but it was really fun. We played pickleball the other day after a setup.
I saw a story of that. That was pretty sick.
Yeah, it's been really fun, honestly. And, looking forward to going home soon because it's been a long time. But, the events are going well. And, watching lots of hockey.
Hockey. Caps haven't played in 2 weeks, so I haven't really watched that much hockey.
The Sens have also not played in
it's horrible.
They're playing one game in 13 days. So
yeah, Leafs played one game today after last Thursday, something like that.
Homer, did I ask? Literally, the only hockey I've watched in the last 2 weeks is All-Star hockey. That's not even hockey. That's shitty. With trying to kill players with Brady Tkachuk.
Since we're filming this after the this is our first episode after the All-Star break. Can we talk about how bad that skills competition was? How poorly it was done? How mediocre the players were acting? And
except McDavid.
And how cringy it was at times, how too much of a tryhard it was at times when it wasn't being a tryhard. It was they weren't trying at all in any of the competitions.
You just called them tryhard.
But they were trying too hard to make it entertaining. So not trying hard in the competition, but trying hard to make it entertaining, it doesn't go together.
No, I'm going to start. I've been very negative on this podcast. So I'm going to take some positives from the skills competition. McDavid went 8 for 8. That was pretty sick. He basically just didn't try, and is still good at something other than skating, which he keeps showing us. Apparently, Kadri actually cheated in the shooting competition too.
How does that work,
bro? He was 2 feet ahead of McDavid, ahead of the line where you're supposed to shoot at. So I guess that's not very positive, but fraud. And then, Sergei Ovechkin's pretty cute. That's pretty much all I gathered from the skills competition.
No, it was very very poorly done.
Marner was very cringy.
I don't know what the people who paid money to go watch it in person.
It's for the kids, bro. Kids don't find that stuff cringy.
No, it's always been for the kids. It's always been for the kids, but the competition was something that players would do, actually try in, or there'll be the breakaway challenge was a joke. It was a complete joke.
Well, it's it used to be just 6 competitions, and it was actually skill related, fastest skater, accuracy, and hardest shot were still there, but they tried to spread it out throughout the night, which is kind of weird. Which I guess viewer retention or whatever. But then there's they had potentially just adding 3 other competitions and taking out all the random stuff they tried to do on a beach. And I understand Florida, you're trying to sell the market there or whatever, but it was still horrible. I don't think anyone's deciding to play hockey on the beach afterwards anyway, so it's not like it worked. But yeah, it was a great weekend.
So how
Yeah,
can
I
we
mean,
shat
like,
all over the All-Star break? Sorry, NHL, but it's
No, sorry.
not sorry as well. It was really poorly done and very disappointed.
The game itself was also just like the game itself was what it normally is. But like someone said this, like a friend said this to me, and it was like after the Atlantic or after the Metro and whatever Pacific lost in the first game, so many viewers just clicked off because no one really cared after that. Like you had the niche fans of like Ottawa and like some people still want to see Toronto, I guess, or like Marner or whatever, but no one cares about the Central. You lost McDavid, you lost Ovechkin, you lost Crosby. No one really watched after that. I definitely didn't. That's literally where I stopped watching.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I didn't watch any of it.
yeah, no, I don't know why I did that to myself. Anyways, let's talk about more positive stuff.
well, we can talk about maybe the trades a little bit later, but right now we can, if has there anything that's happened with any of your teams that we didn't touch on last time?
um, Apparently, Leafs are interested in Ryan O'Reilly.
Oh, I've heard some things about Toronto that you're not gonna like. Well, I hope you're not gonna like.
Yeah.
Ryan O'Reilly is whatever. Like that's bad, but it's not as worse as what I'm hearing about the Leafs wanting Tyler Myers.
Oh, okay. I actually haven't even heard of.
Yeah, I just saw that on Twitter from like some reporter, and like I'm gonna talk about like the trade targets or whatever that I have later. And like I guess Tyler Myers kind of falls into this category where I had like just really big defensemen that people want to have on their team for some reason. Um, Even though they can't like play properly. And Tyler Myers definitely falls into that category. It's like think about Jacob Trouba and like how bad he is at everything except for like hitting and leadership, I guess. But like worse. And that's Tyler Myers. But he costs like $6 million. So
Yeah. Well, the other thing that concerned me, well, not concerned me because I wasn't surprised at it, but Kyle Dubas had a press conference yesterday, and in the press conference, he made it clear that they're not going to be going after a goalie at the trade deadline. And not that it's surprising. I don't think anyone thought they were going to, but any hope that anyone did have of a potential trade for a goalie or an upgrade there is definitely not happening, because he said anything apart from goalie, if we can get better at, we will get better at. So yeah.
I mean, they're confident in the way Samsonov is playing, I guess, but I've been duped by him before, so I'm not going to say much on that. I think the more concerning thing about what Dubas is implying in a lot of things is that he's not going to part with like, I think I sent you guys a tweet of him saying he's not going to part with like first round picks or that prospect, the Matthew Nice, that guy.
Yeah.
Or like other prospects or whatever, which I don't know if they even have more than that, but like the Leafs window is just like it's not big. It's already on the downturn, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a ton of like massive contracts coming up the year after next. You still have like an Albatross Tavares contract, and you're potentially like trying to add, certain players to that as well. So you can't really improve unless you can't really like go for it unless you get rid of those assets. And I understand that like you want to build for the future or whatever, but there's two things, right? Kyle Dubas might not even be here after this year if they don't make it past the first round. Well, I think we can all say that like there's like a 90% chance he gets fired like right after.
Yeah.
But look at someone like Tampa.
Yeah.
Right? They don't care about first round picks. They haven't cared about first round picks for like years. They traded a first round pick for Hagel, and everyone was like, what the hell are they doing? And now Hagel has like 23 goals and like is almost a point a game. And he was like, it came out of nowhere. And they've done that in the past with other players as well. And I mean, Nick Paul was such a big part of their team last year as well for in that finals run. So I don't know how Toronto doesn't look at that as an example as to what they should do, considering Tampa's a team that's like maybe not beat them straight up to get to the finals a bunch of times except for last year, but they're definitely a team that like the Leafs want to be, what they aspire to be, right? They got all the offense talent in the world. But the thing that Tampa always has that Toronto doesn't is depth scoring. So that's like, I don't know. And it doesn't seem like he's going to change off that. So,
yeah, well, I guess it depends who's on the other side of that first round pick, right? I mean, who are we able to get with the first round pick? If it's someone that can make a huge impact and Dubas doesn't go for it, then I think it's a big problem for sure.
Sometimes you got to go for it, bro.
And you got to go for it.
Did you
exactly.
think Brendan Hagel was going to have a huge impact for Tampa? Is Toronto's scouting just horrible or something?
Well, the thing is, Leafs have done it before. Leafs did it with Foligno, if I'm not mistaken. There was a first round pick in that, right?
Yeah, but Foligno, like Hagel is like a young fast forward. Foligno was the entire opposite. It's why I've traded him for his fantasy team.
They did it for Foligno. I'm pretty sure they did it for they got a couple. They did it for, remember 2018. I think they did it for Thomas Plekanec.
Oh God,
remember that?
Why do they only trade for old players?
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there was a first round. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there was a first round pick involved in that deal. I think in Foligno's case there was.
Foligno's case there was,
and I don't know about Giordano last year if there was a first round pick involved. I don't think there was.
No, but the thing with Foligno that was funny is that was the year that they did like the Prime documentary or whatever, and they showed like Kyle Dubas making all the calls and stuff to get him. Man, the funniest thing ever.
I couldn't watch that documentary. Well, I mean, I watched it, but it was like so painful knowing what was happening.
It was hilarious. I was on a train ride to Toronto, and I was ironically watching it. Got off the train, and it was just Matthews and Marner just like with their heads down.
Oh man,
magic.
But yeah, so I mean, we'll see. The trade deadline is coming up, so we're going to be talking a lot about trade targets, for all teams, not just our teams. But yeah,
Washington.
I mean, in terms of things that have happened in the last couple of weeks, nothing really. But we did make like our we did the Strome signing, which we already talked about. Sonny Milano re-signed 3 years, $1.9 million a year. I love that. But I think he was really happy with it. I'm not going to talk about this too long. It's like not that crazy of a contract or anything, but like he's fit perfectly in our, like, I wouldn't even say middle. So like it's been top 9 because our lines have been all over the place, but he has really good chemistry with like Backstrom and Johansson, and that line has been working well for us. The only line that stayed together. So yeah, I'm excited for him to stay. That does mean though that there's going to be some sort of movement, whether it's with like current roster players or prospects. So I do anticipate us being active at the deadline. I think we have to be active at the deadline because when John Carlson comes back, someone has to go, and they're not going to like try to send someone through like waivers or something. So we'll talk about it later, but I do have a certain player that I would really like them to trade, but he is on my list, and I think he's probably the most likely to get traded. Other than that, we're unfortunately being reported as one of the teams that is looking for that colossal defenseman that I don't want. But hey, if we trade for Luke Shannon and it costs us a 7th, I won't be too mad. But yeah, that's all I have.
Nice. I mean, I don't really have much to add on Ottawa either.
What's their trademark?
Like, well, I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But yeah, like it seems like the boys had some nice extended vacations. I think Batherson and a couple of the other guys like DeBrincat all went on a vacation together. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to add just because it's been a break, but we're on a 4-game streak, but we play McDavid and the Oilers tomorrow, and McDavid hasn't had points in 2 games, so I guess he had 1 point. So he's probably gonna have like 73 points tomorrow against the Sens, which is great.
He'll get points tomorrow. He's at 790.
Yeah, it's great. And so nothing too crazy to talk about. So if we want to talk about some trades now, or if we want to do a stat game and then move on to kind of like trade talk after that.
We talk about the signing, like the contract extension for Horvat first, maybe.
Yeah, 8 years.
I mean, we can talk about
the contract that
because then we can just like focus on
the contract that after. Lou Lamoriello himself called too long, but
Okay, I think I've already like talked down on Horvat a lot, so I'm going to try to be positive about this for him.
He scored yesterday.
You know what? He scored first 2 games. Respect. So for both Horvat, this is like the best possible situation, right? It doesn't matter if he makes the playoffs or not this year. It's whatever. He still signed a contract that he likely wouldn't have gotten if he just kept playing like he has in the past, which is like a 60-point, mildly defensive center, right? But now he's on pace for like Chris Kreider of 2022 type goals. And he's also getting that kind of money. So he's for him, great job for the Islanders. I don't mind because I hate them anyway. But I'm curious to see how this contract ends up when he's like 34 and making 8.5 sheets and putting up 40 points. But yeah, it's something I guess they had to do.
He won't be 34, but yeah.
He's 28 right now.
No, he's 25.
Bo Horvat's 25?
Let me just double check.
There's no shot. Bo Horvat got traded for Corey Schneider at the draft.
Bo Horvat.
I'm very certain he's at least 28.
I think he's later in his 20s than that.
Yeah. Regardless, like
27.
Okay, they had to sign him to something for this trade to be like worth it. Otherwise, they got rid of assets for nothing, pretty much. Especially if they like don't happen to make the playoffs. Do I think another team would have given him that contract in the offseason? Like maybe, considering the season he's having in this contract year, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see like where they go now with like this amount of like term and money handed out to like really players for like a long period of time, except for Barzal. He's not a net player. He's a good player.
Yeah, I mean, like the trade itself, I feel like, you know, you gave up a first, a recently drafted first, and then I think someone said like Anthony Bovilli is worth a first, but I mean, Brendan Hagel and other people have been traded for first at the deadline, so I don't really know. But, you know, I think it made sense for both teams. Like, obviously, Bo Horvat wasn't going to stay or didn't want to. And then, you know, the Islanders, they get some more oomph. Yeah, I mean, like, I think we've talked about it before, so it is what it is, but there is some new spicy trade, I guess, that we can talk about. So Vladimir Tarasenko has officially been traded and played tonight and scored on his first shot. So Vladimir Tarasenko was traded to the New York Rangers yesterday, if anyone has the full trade up. I know Mikola, as a defenseman, is going to the Rangers as well. And then back the other way, I believe it was a first, Sammy Blais, Skinner, and a fourth-round pick, I believe.
Yeah, you just got all of it. So, the salary on Tarasenko was 50% retained.
Right, so he's making 7.5, I think. So they retained like 3.75 or whatever. Yeah. So I mean, I was talking with my coworker. He looks good in a Rangers uniform. I won't lie. It seems to kind of work for them.
Yeah. I mean, well, there you have a team, you know, going for it, taking a shot, because they want to do something with it. I just think it's a good trade for the New York Rangers.
Yeah, and I think so. Look at like Kyrie in the NBA, where he asked for a trade and it happens like in the next week. Vladimir Tarasenko has been asking for a trade for like 2 years, and like it finally just happened.
Yeah.
And ironically, it happened to go to the team that like of the player that he wanted, the same like the Blues to get many years ago, which is Panarin. Like apparently he was very hardcore pushing for getting Panarin when he was coming to the NHL, but now they're playing on the same line, so it works out. But yeah, I think this gives them the ability to like push guys like Lafreniere, Kakko like more down the lineup and probably where they're more suited.
Lafreniere just off the lineup in
general. Just more into an area where they can be used. Like I think Kakko and Hedl have been playing really well lately, and Lafreniere I think will probably fit in with them now. And then they can put Tarasenko. Tarasenko's playing on a line with Panarin and Zibanejad right now. That's an insane line.
Insane.
And then you got like Kreider, Trocheck, and I don't know who else they put on the other side there. But yeah, no, I think that this gets them closer to where they want to be. And I think the only thing is like Tarasenko is a very good power play weapon. But I don't know if the Rangers necessarily needed a power play weapon. he hasn't been like as good at 5-on-5 in recent years, but I don't think anyone in the Blues really has after the Cup win. So we'll see how he plays with Panarin's Benajad. I mean, it's already gone pretty well tonight. So
Also, his play of 5-on-5 going down recently or in the last couple of years could just be because of what you said, because he's been wanting a trade.
actually,
So a fresh start, going to a team where he probably wants to be there and he wants to.
I've never seen a
you
player
know.
smile so much in like
Yeah.
the span of a day. Just like on every single post I see, it's just him beaming.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure like he'd want his cup there. He wanted to leave, and I wouldn't be surprised if his play was affected because of his lack of morale on the team over there.
I wouldn't be surprised if he even resigns next year with the Rangers.
Yeah.
Probably not for as much money as like he would get elsewhere, but I think he's getting up there in age now. So
He's 31. Yeah.
yeah, so he could probably sign like a 3-4 year deal there, close out his career a bit.
Yeah.
But where do we think this puts the Rangers in there?
One of my friends texted me today saying he saw the trade and was asking like, "Oh, the Rangers are pretty good, eh? Like, who do you think wins this year and stuff?" So I was saying, I feel like the Rangers have a player in every position that is elite. Do I think they're going to win the cup? No, but I think they could definitely make like a conference finals. But I don't see like I think the East wins the cup. Maybe not for sure, but it really seems like it. Like if you had to ask me which three teams I think could win the cup, if I'd pick a top three, it'd probably be Boston, Carolina, and Tampa again. I don't really see the Rangers beating those teams. I think they could give them a run for their money, but I'm also talking about every other team being completely healthy in the playoffs, which is not probably going to happen. But as of right now, I see them as like yeah, if they won the cup, would it be like the craziest thing in the world? No, but I think those other teams, how they're constructed, have a better chance.
I don't know. I think like for me at this point, like there's probably like 8 teams across the NHL that are like close enough to a point where I wouldn't be surprised if they end up in the cup final. Like just 8 teams across the NHL. I think that the top of that would probably be Boston. But even then, like if they had some sort of drop off in the early part of the playoffs, I wouldn't even be surprised about that. So like I think Rangers are definitely in that crowd of like just teams that could definitely be like a cup final team. But I think that you're right in saying that there's like of those 8 teams, I probably have like 6 teams from the East that could make it and make a strong run. The West is like Colorado, Dallas, and there's a bunch of teams that are just like they'd have to have like very, very strong performances out of a lot like certain individual players to make the final.
Yeah, well, I think this deal gets the Rangers to a point where you can say they can make a run.
I think they already were in that position.
They were in that position, but
they got to the conference final last year and
yeah,
they were made to Game 7.
Yeah, they're already in that position, but I mean, and I guess they're hoping this takes them over the top and gets them into the finals. And I think it can. Like I'm not like I wouldn't be so sure to say I don't think they can't win it. Do I? Yeah, but like I mean, I don't know if they're. I definitely wouldn't call them my favorite still to win me, after this trade. Is they're not my favorites. I think they have a shot, of course. But yeah,
I don't even know if I'd consider Boston my first team to be like a favorite in the East. I'd probably go Carolina, but I think like Carolina's entire playoffs kind of just hinges on health, because if they have Pacioretty healthy, Pacioretty's done though. Ooh, I think he like hurt his Achilles again, so not Pacioretty. But if they have like a fully healthy Anderson, I think that they could be like the unstoppable force, if you will, to go to the final.
Well, remember last year they win every home game and lost every away game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen because that'd be kind of goofy, but they got to figure that out if that's a case where they're struggling to win on the road. Like, just block all that stuff out and just get her done. At least like 1 in 3, 1 in 4 times you're on the road. Like, to not win a single one, that's especially if you're not the higher seed. I mean, they probably will be, but still, like if they somehow go up against like just hypothetically, if Toronto had a better record, like you got to figure that out,
Anderson back. Oh my goodness, Anderson back in
Yeah.
that'd be hilarious. Although that probably wouldn't happen until like the second round because I think one of those teams would have to be. Well, I think Toronto would have to be a wild card team because I think Carolina's probably going to finish.
And they would have to make the second round.
Well, no, if they're a wild card team, they play Carolina likely, right? But yeah, no, if they're where they are now, then yes, they'd have to make the second round. So we may never see Carolina, Toronto, ever.
Toronto's making the finals, so that's why I don't have Rangers up there because they can't.
You know what? For me, if Toronto makes it past the first round, I am fully pounding every single bet for Toronto to get to the final because I think after that it's like
open the floodgates.
I did because you can't go from losing in the first round every year. I mean, Toronto could. You can't go from losing in the first round every year to like have 10 straight years of losing in the second round. I think if there's a team to do it, it's probably them. That'd be kind of funny.
Oh man,
that's the next hurdle.
Yeah, that is the next hurdle. But I mean, yeah, I it's tough for me to say this year who my favorite is. Right, a regular season would tell you Boston, but I don't think Tampa is like even close to my favorite this year. I know people are going to say, "Oh, it's Tampa in the playoffs; they're still going to go all the way." I don't think they are, honestly.
Hedman's playing like Garbo right
now.
Yeah,
so. I'm not on the Tampa bandwagon this year in terms of I think they're going to go far just because.
Aren't you always on the Toronto bandwagon?
Yes.
Well, okay. I have a question here. What, I guess, round or what would Toronto have to do in the playoffs for Keefe and Dubas to keep their jobs?
Conference finals.
Minimum.
I don't even
think
second round doesn't cut it. Second round cuts it. Second round would have cut it 2 years ago.
Actually, even if like I wouldn't even be surprised if it's like final. Because as I've said before, this is kind of like the ending of this team. Like I don't know what Dubas's plan really is after the whole Matthews Nylander situation kind of erupts like next year.
I mean, anything can happen. I personally think conference final saves him his job. For how long it saves him his job, I don't know, maybe another year or so. But I think conference finals has the potential to save Dubas's job. I would say that a second round exit, I don't think it saves Dubas's job. I don't think
a second round game 7 against Tampa or something.
Well, it's going to be Toronto Tampa round 1. It's looking like anyway. So if it's a second round, it's probably going to be Toronto Boston round 2. No, Toronto Boston would probably be round 3 actually.
Toronto Boston, yeah, because it would probably be
if that would happen, yeah. Assuming that Boston would also get to the third round, but yeah,
there's always like one or two surprises, right? Like it's never just like exactly what like the stronger seed is all the way through.
But yeah, I like Dubas's job is not safe. Without a third round entry, like a third round has to be there. Otherwise he's gone. And yeah, Mark Hunter is loving that penalty.
To get first
interesting. Yeah, I mean, like there's been some big trades, and I'm sure Toronto will be involved in that at the deadline and see if they can push themselves over the hump. I mean, maybe they go out and trade for Anthony Beauvillier. I don't know. Like that's their Nick Paul. So we'll see what happens. But we can move on to the stat game. I believe Sufi has the stat this week. So Omar and I will be trying to guess whatever Sufjan has picked.
I'm going to try to make this like guessable-ish so that we don't go on forever. Since 2015-16 till now, or I guess, yeah, now, top 10 defensemen in points in the playoffs.
Since 2015-16.
Yes. And you get 2 strikes.
What?
Yes.
What you think is that easy?
I think you guys should be able to do well on this. I hope.
I think 3 strike minimum should be,
No.
Fine.
I want to challenge here.
And it's top 10?
Top 10 points in the playoffs.
Top 10.
Okay, well, Victor Hedman is one.
Victor Hedman has got to be there.
First strike. No, I'm kidding. Yes. It's 1.
Yeah, Victor Hedman's 1, of course.
He's first.
You think McCarthy is in there?
I think Chris Letang's there. When did they win? They won 18. No, They won
They won
17,
16. No, they won 15 and 16. 15. No, they won the 15-16 season and the 16.
and then they make the playoffs every single year.
Sure, that's a Chris Letang.
Did you guess?
Are we guessing it? Yeah.
He's 10th.
Ooh, just made it. Do we think Petrangelo would be on there?
15, 16. Maybe. I mean, John Carlson could be there too.
John Carlson could be there.
Just trying to think of teams that have like
Honestly, I wouldn't be
just
surprised
consistently make the playoffs.
if Morgan Riley. I mean, they made it just round one, but yeah.
Whatever I said, I forget.
Sergachev?
No. Who did I say? I forget. Oh, John Carlson.
Oh, you threw John Carlson out. I also McAvoy.
No.
Okay.
They haven't had like enough. Like they need at least like a run or like two, or they make like at least a second round every single year.
Boston had a run in 2019.
Okay, but McAvoy's also like what, 24?
Yeah, he hasn't been there since 20. Okay. Okay, you want to say Carlson? John Carlson?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go John Carlson.
It's 4th.
Yeah. So we have 1, 4, and 10.
Is there any like sneaky little players that we're forgetting?
Wait, when was Makar drafted again?
Whenever Elias Pettersson was drafted, I don't know.
When was that? What year was Makar drafted again? I can't remember. Wait. 20. It wasn't all the way back in 15, 16. I don't think so. Who else could we have here?
I mean, we could just say like old people. Oh, Drew Doughty. Do you think Drew Doughty's one of them?
Well, you guys want to know the totals or no?
No.
I think that you guys told me, like, when you do the stat games, you say the totals.
Oh, that's fine.
Sure.
Okay, so first is Hedman, 84 points. Carlson had 54. Letang had 37.
Okay.
37.
Okay, how many times has Drew Doughty made the playoffs since 15-16? They won the cup in 2012 and 2014, right? They won it twice within 3 years, whatever. 2012 and 2014, they won the cups. When did LA make the playoffs since 15-16? How many times? I don't think Doughty's going to be in there since that season.
Carr had like 20 something last year. I just don't know how many he had the year before.
The year before, they made it to round 2, if I'm not mistaken, right? And the year before that, they made it to round 2 as well, I think.
And let's say he had like, let's be like conservative and say 10 points each. So he's probably there, right?
Makar.
Second.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
He had 60 points in 55 games.
Okay.
What do you think about Erik Karlsson?
No. He
No,
made
right?
the playoffs in 2017.
How about Burns?
That's it.
How about Burns?
How many times has he made the playoffs, though? Because San Jose's been bad for like 3 years.
True. They made it 2017. They were in. I'm guessing 15, 16, 17, they were in. And I don't know about 18, 19, 20. I don't know what they've done in the last few years. Who are we missing?
What about like, I don't know if I'm crazy. Like Giordano?
Playoff points? Giordano?
Because the
Calgary
Flames
wasn't.
I feel like they made the playoffs like every other year. Not that they went that far. And then he made it last year. I don't know if he had points. Just trying to think of people that like, maybe I'm thinking too old, but like it's not going to be like Quinn Hughes. It's not going to be like Thomas Chabot. It's not going to be Zach Werenski.
Who I think. Do you think Chara's on there? I mean, he just retired.
No.
Really? You sure?
Just shutting down each other's ideas. It's funny.
I mean, Chara could be on there.
Why would from 15 on?
What? Name me one season since then that Boston missed the playoffs. And
okay, name me one season that he had significant points.
Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna assume the year they made to the finals.
And in the last like 2 or 4 years of his career, he was like getting no points at all.
Okay, they had two seasons in there where they played the Leafs in round 1, and he had points. I think a decent amount of them.
Oh, you think like Duncan Keith?
15, 16? Their last cup was when?
I don't know.
2013, right? Yeah. Right? Yep, 2013. No, it wasn't 2013.
2015?
15. No, 15 was Pittsburgh, right? No. 16 and 17 were Pittsburgh. 18 was Washington.
I'm not going to say anything.
19 St. Louis. 20, 21 Tampa. Then 22 Colorado. 15 could have been Chicago, their last one.
And then,
Yeah.
and is that a Conn Smythe year for him? And then he made it with the Oilers at least once and probably another couple. I think Duncan Keith's a good guess.
Let's go. We'll just take a chance, Duncan Keith.
Strike.
Okay. Yeah, go Duncan Keith, but not Chara.
Okay, say Chara right now and give us our second strike.
No, I'm
Do
not
it.
going to say. I'm not going to do it.
Duncan Keith was 45th
What?
with 16. Apparently, they didn't make playoffs much after they won that cup.
Okay, do you think Erik Karlsson's on then? Like, he had like 19 points in that run. I don't know if he made the playoffs other years though, because he hasn't since then.
No, he
made it like
no, he made it with wait. Was Erik Karlsson? Yeah, Erik Karlsson was part of the in the playoffs. He was part of the San Jose Sharks in that series against Vegas. That was a crazy Game 7. Remember? That was 2019.
was it?
Yeah, because Vegas became a team in 2018. So and they played San Jose in round 1 in I think 2019. So yeah.
So that in their first year?
So
like Vegas's first year. He did not get traded to Vegas in their first year. Or to San Jose in their
I'm
first
talking
year.
about years where he made the playoffs. So we know he made it in 2017. 2016 he also made it, I think, right? And 2016 they missed. 2015 he made it. So 2015 he made it. It was a round 1 exit. 2016 was a miss. 2017 was round 3. 2018 is, I'm not remembering with San Jose if they made it that year or not. I'm guessing they might have, but I don't know. 2019 he made it because I'm pretty sure 2019 was the year that they played Vegas in round 1 or round 2, and that was a crazy Game 7 with those crazy penalties.
You're sure Erik Karlsson was on that team?
Yeah, they played Vegas, and Erik Karlsson got traded when 20.
Was he injured though?
When did Erik Karlsson get traded from Ottawa? It was after he didn't play in the season after they went to the conference finals, right? Erik Karlsson.
He's 50th.
Oh,
Most point a game though. 34 points in 38 games.
Man, I have no idea. Do you think of Ryan McDonough just because he was on all those Tampa teams?
Ryan McDonough could be. I just don't. Now we've lost 2 strikes.
Or Sergachev, like you said. I mean, one of them could be.
You have 6 left with 1 strike, by the way.
I had a feeling that Sergachev would be on there, but you shot it down pretty hard, so I'm guessing he's not. Then I don't know. I mean, they went to 3 finals in a row, so and you can throw out any Tampa defenseman. Not only 3 finals in a row, but then playoffs consistently before that since 15, 16. I'm pretty sure they've been in every year, and then 3 years in a row they've played 4 rounds each year. So I wouldn't be surprised if McDonough, Sergachev, any of them could be on there.
Okay. Say whatever you want.
3rd strike. You want this to be on you?
Is that a hint that none of them are on there?
I don't know who you just said. So
McDonough or Sergachev. Do we think? I don't think we're
or like Roman Josi.
Yeah,
they squeak in the playoffs every year.
They do squeak in, although I don't know how many times Nashville's made it since 15-16. So that's a tough one. And if they have made it, I don't know what's the furthest Nashville has gone in the playoffs.
They reached the finals against the Penguins.
Yeah, but that was 15 or 16. So that was one season, and we don't even know.
But then they've made the playoffs a lot.
Oh yeah, 15, yeah. Oh yeah, that was the season. So fine, that season falls within it. But in that case, we can even say PK Subban because he was on that.
Wasn't it 16-17? Because that's when the Sens lost to the Penguins.
It doesn't matter.
And then
they both fall into it, but only one of those seasons Nashville made the finals. So pick either one. I think it was 15.
Okay, let's just say Pietrangelo or Josi. I don't know. Pietrangelo.
Yes.
Nice.
5. You guys said him earlier, and I was like, just guess him.
Yeah, I said him earlier.
He's 5th with 51 points. He's also played a ton of games.
So we're missing 3rd. We've got 1, 2, 4, and 5, right?
Yeah. So you need 3, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I'm tempted to say a Tampa player. I'm tempted to say we could say Josi, but I'm tempted between McDonough or Sergachev. I don't know. They played a lot of playoffs.
Or do you think this could be a hot take? Do you think Shea Weber.
No.
He reached the finals with Montreal. He reached the finals with Nashville, I think.
No. He wasn't part of the. Wait, when did Subban get traded?
I have no idea.
I don't think that was. I think Subban. No, Subban wasn't. Subban got traded like years ago. It's been a while.
Okay, regardless.
Okay, let's get a guess here, boys.
Do you
No,
think
yeah, no, he couldn't have made the finals with Nashville because Subban was on the Nashville team when they made the finals. Weber wasn't there. That's Weber did not make the finals with Nashville. That's like fact.
Okay. Then Yossi?
Sure, Yossi.
Yossi's 8th.
Okay. All right.
41 points. In 69 games. Nice.
All right. So we need 4 more.
Yes. You need 3, 6, 7, 9.
Sophie brings maturity to our podcast.
Facts.
3, 6, 7, 9. We're missing 3. Can I ask how many points 3 has?
Missing.
We're missing 4
Okay,
players. Yeah.
The third place has?
Yeah.
55.
See, these are close.
Yo, it's
Hedman was way
55
ahead.
has 3, 6 has 50, 7 has 41, 9 has 37. So tied with 10th.
okay. So are we really like 37 points? I think
And
McDonough,
Carlson was like
would have done
15 to 34.
I think McDonough or Sergachev should be on there if it's 37 points.
Okay. Say whatever you want.
But which one would you go for out of the two?
I would say McDonough personally, but I don't really want to go with either of them.
Fine, then we won't go with them.
Oh, well, actually, McDonough made it with the Rangers, too. I don't know when the heck the Rangers...
Rangers.
I mean-
Let's not forget. Rangers made the finals in 2015. Not the finals, conference finals. Wait, when did they made?
Let's
the
just say
finals?
Ryan McDonough and get it over with.
Ryan McDonough.
30.
Oh, 30.
And I'll say this right now, because you have 2 strikes. Sergachev had the same amount of points.
Oh.
And they were 19-20. Except Sergachev has played like half the games.
Okay, so now we lost it, so let's just shoot.
Or should I just give it to you guys so we don't like go on forever?
Yeah, just give it because we have to talk about trades still.
Yeah. Okay. 1 Hedman, 84. Makar, 60 at second. Third. This is you guys didn't really use your brains that well.
Devon Taves.
So there's a team since 2018, since their inception, that has made the playoffs quite often, actually.
Yeah, Vegas.
Now, who's on that team? You said Pietrangelo. Who's the other good defenseman on that team?
Shea Theodore. I thought about that.
55 points for him. 4, Carlson, 54. Pietrangelo, 51. 6, he was mentioned. San Jose Sharks. Brent Burns.
Oh, damn it, Evan.
50. Oh, Evan, you're having a day here, by the way.
I got
There's-
all
there's-
the other ones,
Evan,
by
Evan,
the way.
we're coming.
I'm the one that said John Carlson and freaking other ones.
Krug. You also did say McDonough, Sergachev, but I think that's after. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
7.
you were you were gonna say Chara. Chara's probably like
You
100.
said the most outrageous ones, but you were on like the right lines for like 2.
Yeah.
7, St. Louis Blues, and
Jay
Boston.
Bomeister.
St. Louis Blues.
Oh, Krug.
There you go.
Yeah.
41. 8, Roman Yossi, 41. I'm gonna say Letang first at number 10. Number 9 was a guy that we mentioned very early that you said, and Evan was like, no,
Morgan Riley.
I said, but Evan said no.
very early.
Very early. Who did I say?
You're like, oh, it could be this guy. And I was like, no, not enough games, I think was the main premise. Oh, he's too young. He's like 24.
Oh,
McAvoy?
McAvoy. Yeah, I thought so, man. They had runs.
Oh my God.
McAvoy.
Okay, you sure
Bro.
you thought of some of them, but you also thought of the dumbest ones.
Bro,
You were
McAvoy.
just
I
saying defensemen.
But
Hey,
McAvoy's
listen,
McAvoy's so good.
McAvoy's played 71 playoff games.
Yeah.
How's that even possible?
What?
I'm pretty sure since 15,
Does that
16,
include like
Boston-
NCAA?
I don't know, apparently.
Boston-
But he has 37 points.
hasn't Boston made finals at least once and they made conference finals a couple of times since 15, 16?
Yeah, well, I don't even know when McAvoy got
But
drafted.
I feel like McAvoy like played in college for a while.
So, he's been there since, okay. So, in his first year, he didn't even play in the regular season. He just played playoffs, and that was in 16, 17. And every single year since then, Boston's been in the playoffs. And
I
they've
see.
had multiple, they've had 4, oh my God, okay.
I feel like that
they've
was
had-
so close. Like there were a bunch in the 50s, and then
It dropped off from like there's like I think the top 5 was at in 50s, and then after that I got to like 40 to 37.
Yeah, so
Carlson
like
was like almost point a game. If Carlson like was healthy, he would have been on there.
Yeah. All right.
You know, I thought it was gonna be a lot easier, but
We are still. This is our 6th or 7th stat game, and we're still looking for
an actual win.
Well,
an
I feel like
actual winner.
you and I just disagree so much. Like there was like 8 that I said no to you, and you said 8 no's to me.
Who, me and you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is me and him agree too much.
Yeah.
And then it works out worse. Me and you think a lot. We're probably the closest.
Yeah,
But
well-
he also just does weird stats. So me and you will never get them.
Yeah,
I
he's like,
know. Okay, the
all
last
right,
one you guys
which
didn't get, that was
goalie
good.
had the most glove saves on the blocker side? I'm like, what?
Okay, you know what? Next time it's my turn. Watch the stat I give you. Watch.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't even bad, bro. That was literally it was playoff points for defenseman. That's not even that bad.
No, I'm not saying that was bad.
It wasn't bad.
My last one was right wingers
I know
goals.
for a fact it wasn't bad. Phil Kessel shot at ass.
All right, let's get on to so we got the trade deadline coming up in a just over 2 weeks, I'd say. Yeah.
A couple of March. It's
Cut-
like
March-
3 weeks.
March 3rd, we got the trade deadline coming up. So
Make sure you tune
obviously,
in.
yeah. So I guess before we start, we'll just announce it now. Trade deadline day, we are hoping and planning to go live on that day, which is the plan. Go live on our Instagram.
Yeah, hopefully at
Um,
least 10 of you join.
Yeah, yeah. So
It'll be very exciting.
it'll be nice if you guys are interested. Join us. We're gonna be we'll have the TSN trade center up all day. We'll be following along with the trades that go on, giving our perspectives, and hopefully you can tune in for that. But
Hopefully
also,
it's not boring.
moving forward, leading up to the trade deadline every week, we're going to be talking about potential trade targets, teams and players, both, and just that's all the buzz right now. So we'll get trade talk underway.
Sufi, you said you were thinking about a Washington one earlier, maybe. So if you wanted to start with that one.
Yeah, I got a list, bro. I got a list. I thought of this on my.
Well, let's just do 1 or 2 per episode.
We'll do. Yeah, okay. So I'll save my bigger ticket ones. Hopefully they just don't get traded like before then. But so my Caps player on there was Lars Eller. Really big fish out there. He's got a year left at like 3.5-ish. What once was a good third line center now is a defensive liability who turns over the puck a lot and hasn't had a point in like 16 games. So what team wants him? Seems like a desirable asset. But I think we will have to give up a pick to to get rid of him. But he's also the main let's get John Carlson back into the lineup kind of trade. But I also think that the Caps could use him as like a sweetener and a deal to get something potentially back for like a defenseman, if that's what they're going for. But yeah, I don't know what potential trade target, like I don't know what place he could go to. Like it could be a complete cap dump in like Arizona or something. Because he does only have a year left, or he could go to like, I don't know, Vancouver. That could be something random that he could just go to. And then we can get like Luke Shen back. I don't know why I'm so hung up on Luke Shen. I kind of want him.
Yeah, why do you want Luke
Luke
Shen?
I don't know. He costs like $800K.
Yeah.
He was on Tampa at some point, so he has some sort of quality that they liked. I think the other one that he could potentially go to also is like Columbus, because they have that another guy on my list, the Gavrikov, another very large, doesn't like to move very much defenseman, which apparently a lot of teams want to trade for, and he's one of those guys that Washington could be going for. So I think that's definitely Lars Eller is going to get traded. Mark my words, 100%.
100%.
Yes. And you know what? Respect to him. He got our cup-winning goal. And I will always love him and remember him for that. But it is time to move on. It is family man time for Lars Eller. But yeah. Any guys for you, Omar?
It's hard to say what the Leafs need. I mean, the obvious answer is, Leafs need a defenseman,
No. They don't need a defense. How many times am I going to say this?
Yeah, That's always the obvious answer for everyone. Oh, Leafs need a D-man, and they're not going to go get a D-man. It's hard to say what the Leafs need. But
Depth scoring.
but I mean, it's hard to say what they depth scoring is definitely a need.
So it is easy to say what they need.
Well, more. I don't. The thing is, I like to separate what everyone thinks they need compared to what they need, because I feel like Leafs fans will kind of all differ on whether they want a defenseman / whether they want a depth scorer. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, we need another forward." A lot of people will be like, "No, we need another defenseman." So, as much as I would love to get another defenseman, I do think that's more our need. I will say that since I don't think that's going to happen, let's talk about a depth scorer that the Leafs could potentially go for.
Lars Eller.
Unfortunately, it seems like Leafs are leaning or not leaning, well, kind of leaning towards talks regarding Ryan or O'Reilly, which I'm not a huge fan of. But if we're talking about a rental player that's going to come in and provide any impact, it just hasn't worked out for the Leafs ever that they've done it to get a rental depth scorer, and they just haven't gone anywhere with it. So it's hard to say what kind of depth scorer they need right now. I just don't know who. It feels like they got a good one when they got Plekanec, and that didn't work out. When they got Foligno, and that didn't work out.
Maybe trade for someone under the age of like 28.
Yeah, so but the thing is now we have we have the veteran presence on the team that I guess they were making these trades for in the past. Giordano is there right now, and we've got Tavares is there, and not only Tavares, but now we've got Matthews and Marner and Nylander who've had 5-6 playoffs in their books now. They don't need a mentor anymore. They know what's going on. In terms of they don't
in the first round, they know what's going on.
Yeah, but I mean they don't need a mentor to get them ready for the playoffs and help them.
Has more playoff experience than all of those guys. I mean, he's been to like 3 playoffs.
So it's hard to say who the Leafs need.
So this is the thing, right? I was going to say this earlier. One of my top destinations for this player, it always seems like, everyone's like, oh, this guy's going to get traded to Toronto. This guy's going to get traded. It happens a lot. Any single time there's a star player, it's Toronto, New York. The first time it actually happened was Tarasenko.
It happens more for New York, I'd say.
More, but it's still like in the recent years. But the one thing that I could definitely see happening if Toronto actually wants to part with some assets, which whether they do or not is up to them, but I think that it's actually like a viable option, is Timo Meier.
I've heard this, yep.
And reason I'm saying this is, yes, the contract after this year is going to be hefty, but compared to like, I don't know, Patrick Kane, it is a much easier transaction to make right now. In terms of money. Yes, they're going to have to probably give him way more assets than they would to get him rather than Kane because of his age and the fact that Kane's a UFA and stuff. But I think that Meier is someone that they can trade for. He's going to have a very, 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 very big impact on that team. I think like that is something that could actually help them clear the first round. And I think they've always had the skill to do so. I think that this honestly just puts them over the top. Like for me, it's very hard for me to see a team beat Toronto with Timo Meier on it. And the fit is there. It's just they have to like actually move someone. And it's gotta be Kerfoot's gone.
Yeah.
In that trade. It's gotta be that nice guy, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And then like a first round pick or 2. And honestly, worth it. Way more than worth it. Trade 2 first round picks and a second. I don't care. Get that done, because I think that's what you get Toronto over the hump with. I don't know why I'm telling you this like you're going to do this, but like genuinely. And the other place like Timo Meier could end up, I think, is a team that like is the Toronto of the other side, but they've actually made it past the first round, Edmonton. But I think Edmonton is more of a Kane fit, which we'll talk about at another time. But yeah. Evan, do you have any thoughts on
Timo Meier? Yeah, Timo Meier has been thrown around in Leafs discussions, that's for sure.
I don't think Timo Meier's going to the Leafs. That would make no sense to me.
But why though?
Like, yeah, the Leafs have never struggled to score from their top 6. And if you're trading a guy like Kerfoot, that's just getting rid of a depth guy. I think something that would benefit them is like getting one of those like quote unquote Tampa third liners that always work out. Like a just an example, like Tyler Mott from the Sens. The guy freaking grinds. Like I wouldn't say he's a scorer, but like if you were to get someone like that or someone
They already have that.
like no, but like even like a Connor Brown kind of guy, like just someone who isn't really a top six guy, but could play in your top six if you needed them to.
Michael Bunting.
Like, yeah, like another Michael Bunting. Like, they don't need, I don't think, a guy that can go out there and score you like 30, 40 goals. You need a guy that like can score you like 15, but also just like grinds people down in the playoffs.
You see, but that's the thing, right? Like Meyer is like I understand what you're saying, but Meyer is like in the more affordable category. Plus, he's like honestly more of a grinder than Kerfoot because he's up there and like hit leaderboards and stuff. Yes, he is a skill player. Yes, he's going to score 30, 40 goals, especially on that team. He could score even more. My point is that I don't think Toronto is in the spot where they can just make like one small trade to try to fix like this huge issue of them not making it past the first round. And I think that like adding a guy like in the Connor Brown category, yes, it may help your like depth out a little bit. But I don't know, they already have players like that. Like they already have like I can't name half their bottom six, but I know that there's some potential there of like guys that can be like Connor Brown. Like I don't know, Zach Aston Reese.
Yeah, I would agree with
But they need to make a bigger move. Like I don't think it's
Yeah.
I don't think it's a matter of just like one small trade.
I'm not saying they don't need to make a bigger move. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
think
don't,
that's
I don't
fair.
see it happening either. But I do have to give it to Sufi when I say we've got players like that already, like what you're mentioning, like a Connor Brown, players like that are already on the team, and making a small little trade, for the bottom six, for a player down there who, I mean, I just don't think that that's gonna be enough for anyone to
Yeah.
say that this is
Okay,
that
like
he's gonna take them over the
I
hump.
do agree with Evan that like maybe it's not what they're planning on doing. But
Yeah,
it is like I know that there's like reports and stuff of them being in the conversation. Honestly, that could just be like them being Toronto and that just happens.
yeah,
But the thing is like I think that they're way more likely right now to make a move like that compared to past years because of things that have happened in the last like few years. I think it's a little more likely now for them to go for something like that. I hope.
I mean, you would hope so, but again, remember from the way Dubas is talking, it doesn't look like they're gonna go for it.
Dubalytics.
Yeah, so I mean, you would want to see it.
If they're
And
trading for Tyler Myers at $6 million, I really hope they're thinking of trading for Timo Meyer at $6 million.
yeah, exactly. But just in a year like this where Dubas doesn't have a contract extension yet, where it's everything's on the line for him right now. I feel like this is the year where you make that bold move. If it's a player like Timo Meyer or whoever else maybe that maybe we haven't broached yet, but you go and make that bold move this year, because your job's on the line. He's made the small moves before. He's done the Nick Foligno, he's done the Thomas Plekanec, he's done the the smaller guys that have come in and nothing's happened. But
they look really nice when you trade for them. And like, oh, this guy is going to help you in the playoffs.
yeah, but no, but he's done the trades where it's like, oh my god, they got this character guy who's a veteran and he's gonna help these guys when it gets tough in a game 7, and he's gonna help them get over the hump because he's been there, he's done that, and he's a good character guy. And then they're right back where they started in a game 7 loss again. So he's done that. It hasn't worked. This is his job on the line. He can do that again, which it looks like he's gonna do again and try. But it does make sense to go for that bold move right now, and Timo Meyer would be that.
He's the only bold move that really makes sense. Like I don't think Patrick Kane makes sense in Toronto at all. Like that's just someone to add on their power play, but costs way more because his like 5-on-5 impact is like way down. So Meyer, I think, genuinely helps. He's a two-way player, scores a lot of goals, and he can play on he can play in either line, and it'll work.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Or Timo Meyer to Ottawa. Why not?
Why not? We totally need a
Why not
top six
us?
forward.
Yeah, that's literally the only thing they don't need.
Yeah.
I think you guys could definitely get like a center. If you guys trade for Lars Eller, go ahead.
I mean, I think something that we could do is trade someone out, that being Cam Talbot. He's on an expiring deal. He's had a decent season, like not awful. And I'm sure teams would love some, whether it's a better backup or some goaltending depth going into the playoffs. So I could definitely see him getting traded, maybe for like a third or something at the deadline to a contender. Teams that maybe aren't super confident in their goaltending. I don't know if like Edmonton or Calgary are necessarily that, just because they've had bad goaltending seasons. Maybe trading for a guy like that kind of lights a fire under someone. I don't know.
I see Vegas.
Yeah, even Vegas is like, yeah, they're back up behind someone, or if they need him to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a interesting situation for goaltending for the Sens because they traded Gustafsson. They have like some young guys, but no one's really come up and played yet. So it'll be interesting for sure. But I think he's a guy that definitely could and probably will get moved, especially if he's not thinking of extending for like a year. I don't know. So
I think if Ottawa does trade for someone that's like the better player in the trade, it's got to be someone that has like term on it. That's like younger, like as everyone has said for like a millennium now, Chikrin, or like someone around like in that realm kind of thing. Like I don't really see them traded for any kind of rental. Like, but the thing is, like they are kind of in the same playoff ish range as like the Islanders. So if they did make that rental move, I guess it wouldn't be that crazy. But I think that they're just in a place right now where they can just like coast on this team and see what happens, and maybe add a guy with more term. Yeah.
yeah, and I guess we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And any other things we'd like to bring up about the NHL before we head to our head-to-head?
And you spoke about Edmonton. Their goaltending hasn't been bad recently.
Yeah, it's true.
We've had a resurgence of Mr. Soup. I think he's got like a 917 ish save percentage in the last like month. But he's doing like the same thing that Edmonton as a team does, apparently, which is get hot in January and stay hot until like the end of playoffs. So we'll see if Campbell if that resonates with Campbell.
So today's head-to-head, I thought I would involve a player that's been recently traded. And I thought I would, pick a player who's a similar position, but maybe plays the game a little differently. So the head-to-head I've created for y'all today is Vladimir Tarasenko or Gabriel Landeskog. Who would you rather have on your team
Right now or
right now?
I mean, right
Assuming
now,
they were both healthy.
yeah, I was gonna say, give me Tarasenko right now because he's on skates.
you
You want to go first?
go.
Okay. This is tough. Ish. I'm gonna go Landeskog. Landeskog, I think, is maybe his point potential isn't as high, and he kind of rides the coattails of his line mates a bit offensively. But he's like if Zach Hyman was a really good player, that would be Gabriel Landeskog for me. Because
100-point player Zach Hyman potentially.
that's my thing, right? I think if Landeskog played with McDavid, we'd be seeing like friggin' Yari Curry over here, So because he has the ability to score. He has the ability to put up points along with his line mates, whoever they are. As a leader, he hasn't asked for a trade every year. Which I don't know if Tarasenko is or not, but he doesn't seem like he would be someone of that stature. Defensively, he's not insanely good, but he's better than Tarasenko. He hits, which I mean, I don't hold that to that much of a regard, but I think that play style works well with his team. And I think that like if I was to put him on, if I was to like make a playoff team, and just like stick either of these players on there. Both of them have a cup, obviously, in recent years, but I think if I were to put Landeskog on there, I think I'd have a better chance of winning. But the only thing that I can really knock him on is the fact that he's injured like 90% of the time. But I mean, that's not something that I can really fault him on too much. It's just more of like an unfortunate circumstance.
Like Brian Murray. Not Brian Murray.
Brian Murray? Oh,
wow, that was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt Murray.
Now, the thing is, Gabriel Landeskog is good when he plays consistently. Matt Murray is like good sometimes and sometimes not, right? So, but yeah, Landeskog, like, I think he's just like, when he plays, he's the model of consistency. Tarasenko, yes, he stays healthy and stuff, and his point totals, obviously, like when he was like a pure 40 goal scorer, it was pretty consistent for like 4 years, but nowadays he isn't playing.
Tarasenko scored 40? I'm sure he had like 39 a couple times.
I think he had 40 at least once.
Tarasenko.
Yeah, he had 40 at least once. He had 40 and 39.
He had 40 in 15-16. Yeah, 40 goals in 80 games.
Yeah, and then 39, 30. Yeah, so okay.
Yeah.
Mid 30s to late 40s. Mid 30s to 40 max, right?
Yeah.
But that was also like for like 4 straight seasons, consistent. In those seasons, he wasn't consistent. It was like kind of up and down. And now recently the point drop off is significant. And he doesn't really do well, it's not point drop off. It's like the play has been less. Like to what that caliber, he's not as good of like a goal scorer that he was at that time, and there isn't enough to his game other than that for me to warrant putting him over someone that's like almost point a game, plays decent defense, is a great captain, I think, and can also like kill you. So I'll give it to Landeskog.
Evan, me or you?
You go.
Yeah, I have to agree with Sufi on this one. I don't know. I wouldn't say I feel strongly either way. But yeah, I gotta go Landeskog. Literally because they're similar in age. Landeskog's 30 and Tarasenko's 31, so age is a wash. They both have cups. Now the one thing, Sufi did mention this briefly, but the one thing that I would put in Tarasenko's favor is I think Tarasenko's been more of the offensive threat when it comes to his team producing. Like he's been the guy compared to Landeskog, where he hasn't really had to be the guy. He's produced in similar ways in terms of points. I think Landeskog actually has more points overall in his career so far. Not by much. I think it's like 20 points or something. That's they're different by, but Landeskog has the more points. But I mean, I think he's on a team that's given him the ability to do that. Offensively, I'd say Tarasenko is the better player.
Are you looking at the stats?
Maybe
no, Tarasenko has more points, but it's also because
is the other way. Okay, yeah, so Landeskog has more.
I mean, Landeskog's been around point a game for most of the last like 4 or 5 years, but it's just he's played like 50 games a season.
I think Tarasenko is definitely the better offensive player, just
not in the playoffs. In the playoffs,
yeah, but
Tarasenko.
but like I just don't think it's I just think the Landeskog has a lot more to work with.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, I do agree to that to an extent. But
yeah.
Tarasenko's or Landeskog's last 3 playoffs, and I understand, okay, the people you're playing with, whatever. But like with all the other parts of his game that are amazing, in the playoffs, he had 13 points in 14 games, 13 points in 10 games, and then 22 points in 20 games with 11 goals. Tarasenko, the year that they won the cup, had 17 points in 26 games. And then since then, 0 points in 4 games, 2 points in 4 games, 9 points in 12 games. I think the problem with Tarasenko too is he's been playing dejected this year, especially. Last year he still had 82 points or whatever.
Yeah, like I mentioned, in the last couple of years, I don't really like. I like to see what does more with the range. It's hard to gauge in terms of it. Is that just him, his play falling off, or is that him with a lack of morale? and a lack of interest playing like he's on an all-star break. But yeah, I'd go Landeskog for a few slight reasons. I personally don't think he's the better offensive player. I think Tarasenko is the better offensive player. Because I think Tarasenko has less to work with, and he's the guy.
They have less to work with though. Like less to work than Colorado, like obviously, but
Yeah,
there weren't like horrible.
no, I'm not.
players
I'm not
in
saying.
history.
I'm not. I'm by no means am I saying that St. Louis had bums and he's the only guy. No. I'm just saying like if you compare. I mean, when you compare like
Don't say the players. It's fine.
yeah, I mean you got Makar, McKinnon, Kadri. It's easier to get points with those guys I think than Tarasenko in St. Louis. So I give the offensive edge to Tarasenko, but yeah, because of the reasons Sufi mentioned, the leader, his playoff performance has been great. He's got the cup. I think I'll give a slight edge to Landeskog.
You see, now the problem here is if he says Tarasenko, he's lying.
Why?
I think it is very evident who the player is. And I think that back in the day, little old Evan watching rookie Vladimir Tarasenko, I was like, wow, this guy's great. But have you ever seen Gabriel Landeskog? This man is so attractive that you can't not pick him.
That's why.
This guy is a man rocket.
You were probably hoping that I would go Tarasenko.
I thought it was close because I think they each bring different things to the table. Like I agree with you. Like, have you seen Tarasenko's forearms? This guy can
We're thinking
rip
of different
pucks.
things here.
This guy can rip pucks like nobody's business.
Got a good
Like
shot.
Yeah, his
crazy good
shot's
shot.
crazy, man. His
Yeah,
shot's
he's got a good
crazy.
shot.
And so I agree that he's more of like an offensive driver, but I think Landeskog's a more well-rounded player. I think he's a really good captain, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like Tarasenko's a really good player, but I think Landeskog is like close enough in offense, but does a lot of other things that it's not that close. But I was just seeing if anyone had some interesting ones. I wanted to involve him and someone that maybe I thought that injuries may.
I think that was the only
cause.
real caveat there. Like I think that was like if someone were to go Tarasenko, I think that would have to be the main reason.
Yeah, you're a biased Rangers fan, if so.
Well, I'm curious to see what people go with here, actually. Considering our Tavares Backstrom one ended in a landslide because of Leafs fans, so there isn't enough.
Just because he's the better player.
You have said so many bad things about Tavares on this podcast.
What did I say?
Bro, I will pull
Tavares?
the receipts out.
No,
I will literally pull the receipts out.
I'm actually
in every single studio that we've had. You've talked bad about
Tavares. No, I haven't. I'm always a Tavares defender, except for one thing I said.
You got to back me up.
The only thing I've said, and I didn't say it like
literally for the entire start of the season. I didn't like Tavares sucks.
No, this season I said Tavares is good in this season. I was saying Tavares came. I was saying I wasn't expecting him to start good, but he started good. Go back to the podcast. I said that I didn't like him in the playoffs last season. I thought the game looked too fast for him, and I was worried about him starting this season because I thought the game was going to be too fast for him again. I was like, oh, I think he's really fallen off. But he started the season really well, and he's been playing well throughout the whole season. So I've been like, never mind, I was wrong. I'm surprised at this.
You guys don't hear what we say. Talk about off podcast. So.
No, I'm not. Come on, no, that's no. Johnny T, I love you, man. You're my captain.
I miss Tyler Bozak.
All right. Do we have anything else to add, ladies and gentlemen?
No, we will.
I hate the Leafs.
We'll see you guys next week. John Torres had 2 goals tonight, by the way.
Against Columbus. I can score 2 goals against Columbus.
I don't think so.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in once again. There is a little hate crime happening on the screen if you are on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, Omar, list off everywhere people can list and share.
Please listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, SiriusXM. And yeah,
And check us out on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. Sufi's really been grinding, doing a lot of great stuff with our website and our social media. So if you want to go vote on our head to head, our past head to heads, and give us some suggestions if there's anything you want us to talk about, your team, whatever it is, and we'll be sure to get back to you.
Yes. I'm also just gonna clip this and put "Please listen to us" as a TikTok.
take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Bye.